everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Rachel and this is Stitched Up. So, oh boy, we have another Friday sews and I think I've been away about 3 weeks again. I am so sorry. This was a completely unintended break from vlogging, but I don't know what happened. Time has just run away with me and I've been really busy generally with work, life, family things, etc., and just haven't had the chance to film. So I'm really sorry, guys, but I'm back now and I thought I would come on this morning and do a Friday sews because I've actually had the week off work. Well, when I say off work, off my normal job, I have done a couple of I've done one locum shift and I've got my second locum shift tomorrow. So I decided to take the week off this week, because I felt it was the most appropriate week for me to take some time away from my normal job and catch up on a few bits and pieces at home. And I had intended to do lots of sewing this week alongside vlogging and getting a few vlogs done because I'm behind on a couple of projects, but it's just not happened, I'll be honest. We had Layla last weekend, which was lovely, but very tiring, and Sunday night she didn't sleep very well. We had her right till Monday, so Sunday night she didn't sleep very well. She was awake for about 3 hours during the night, so I was exhausted on Monday and I had to take her back down to Leicester, which for those of you not in the UK or don't sort of really know where I live, I mean, I'm in Yorkshire, but it's about an hour and 40 minutes on a good run back to Leicester from where I live. So yeah, and I had to take her back to Leicester, and then my daughter wanted to take me out for lunch because it's Mother's Day next weekend and she won't see me. So we had the day shopping together, which was just gorgeous. It was lovely, but I was shattered. So I got home late on Monday night, and then Tuesday I just felt like I hadn't caught up. So Tuesday was a bit of a catching up, just chilling out day. And then Wednesday I did a locum shift yesterday, did finally manage to start some sewing and plan for vlogging. So here I am. Anyway, I will start by telling you what I'm wearing, and I'm wearing the Sibiu top by Itch to Stitch. This was a jumper that I did a live sew along for on my channel. I'll link to it up here if you're interested to go and watch that. It was one that was voted for by you guys, and yeah, I did a live sew along, and I know that I am completely behind on the live sew alongs because I know so many of you really enjoyed them. Even if you couldn't make the live itself, you loved coming back to watch them sort of in your own time, if that makes sense. And yeah, I really want to bring those back. I did plan to do one back in October, November time, I think it was. We were looking at one of the Style Arc dresses, the Philomena or the Belle, and I know there was a vote on my community tab on my YouTube channel for which one we were going to do, and I just didn't get a chance to do it because I was still recovering from my surgery and just didn't feel up to doing a live for the length of time it would take to sew, if that makes sense at that point. So I know that we still need to plan that in, and I am planning to do it. I just need to look at dates and things, so watch out for that coming up at some point in the spring. But yeah, I made this a couple of years ago, I think, in one of my lives, and I really like it. It's made up, I'll stand up so you can see it a bit better, but it's made up in this beautiful knit fabric from Beyond the Pink Door. It's orange with a gorgeous sort of leopard print. It's slightly raised design, but it is a proper knit fabric. It is stunning. I really like it actually, and I've just got it on with black jeans today. What I love about this top as well is it's got like these really deep cuffs. I don't know if you can see that there, but the cuff comes to here, and yeah, it's really nice. It's got this lovely big relaxed neck and I really love it. So I've dug that out of my drawer today to put on, and I feel very put together. I've got my sapphire frills earrings in, which are these little strawberries, which I thought sort of go. I was looking at my earring collection, which is quite extensive now, I have to say. Piper's just come to be nosy, and I didn't actually have any earrings that really go with it, but I thought, yeah, they look sort of okay. And you might notice I've got some more star earrings in as well. These are just silver earrings from Next in the second holes. I was out with my Northern Soul sisters last week, gorgeous Ruan and gorgeous Tamlin, and we were talking about earrings because why wouldn't you? And part of the conversation I mentioned that I actually had my ears pierced 3 times, and I think the third hole healed up many moons ago, because I went through a phase, especially when my kids were younger, where I didn't really wear them day to day because, you know, you've got other priorities, haven't you, when you've got young children, let's face it. And I actually thought the second hole had healed up as well, but I did manage to get these earrings through, which was brilliant. So yeah, I thought I would just try and keep those open now so that I can wear a second set of earrings. So I've got my little strawberries in today, which are really cute. And you might notice, the observant amongst you, that I have had my nose re-pierced. So a few people mentioned it a few months ago. I did have my nose pierced a couple of years ago, and I used to wear a ring, and I bought a stud. This is totally off topic, I know, but you know, I want to catch up with you guys and just tell you what's been going on. Anyway, I'll get back to it. I bought a stud, and I took the ring out, tried to put the stud in, couldn't get it in. It was a tiny stud, and couldn't get the ring back in either, and got all flustered and ended up leaving it to heal up. So when I was down in Leicester on Monday with Bronte, I went and got it re-pierced with a stud. So I'm really happy about that. It's nice and discreet. So it's gone back through the original hole, so it's healing really well actually this time, which is great. And you might also notice the hair. So I was back at the hairdresser's yesterday, and if you recall, those of you that have been following me for a long time, you know how I get fed up and bored and like a change. And back in October, November, December, it was December, wasn't it? End of November, December time, I went red, very red. And it wasn't very successful, let's put it that way. And as much as I love it, I didn't love it on me. And I have been steadily going back blonde, and we are almost there now, which is amazing. So yeah, I was back at the hairdresser's yesterday. She did a full head of highlights on my hair, and it's a new hairdresser who is just incredible. She's so reasonably priced, and you know, she really listens to what I want, and yeah, she doesn't take hours either. So I have a lot of hair. My hair is very fine, so it maybe doesn't look like I've got a lot of hair, but I have a lot of hair. So to do a full head of highlights on me, because of the amount of hair I've got, even though it's very fine, takes quite some time. So it took her just over an hour and a half to get all the highlights in, and then yeah, 3 hours in total, and I was done, which is amazing. So now I'm blonde again, and I feel much more like me, which is brilliant. So what have I been up to in the world of sewing since I last spoke to you? You might notice back here, I think the last vlog that I put out was a bit of a tour of my reconfigured sewing space, and it's a little bit untidy at the minute, I have to say, because I've been destashing some fabrics. Everybody who bought from me last week, all your fabrics are out now, so you should be getting them this week. Thank you so much for everybody that bought from me, because the entire pile that I listed last week all sold, which was incredible. Within an hour, I was just gobsmacked. And Piper, what are you doing? It's just being Piper. And I do have another pile of fabrics that I have set aside to destash as well, and to list on my Destash account. I'm probably going to do that over the weekend. I had intended to get that up this week, and I just haven't had the opportunity really. So, and the weather's not been great. I know that might sound a bit odd, but for lighting, to be able to take good photos, I want the weather to be good so that people can see what they're getting, if that makes sense. Because sometimes when you take photos of fabric, it doesn't come up on screen what it looks like in real life. So I'm really conscious of that. So yeah, that's where we're at. So the sewing space is not, I'm really sorry about Piper, guys. He is chasing a little bit of fabric that is on the floor, around the floor. I will be kicking him out soon if he doesn't behave. The sewing space is really working well for me. I feel much more inspired in here, and it's a great space to be in now. I'm absolutely loving it. But I've still been working on tidying it and just tinkering a little bit to make it work a little bit better for me. And you might remember, if you watched my last vlog, which was the tour of the space, that I talked about the fact that I had a treadle machine here, my Singer 201K, which is an amazing machine. And it was on a treadle stand, but I mentioned that it was electrified now, so I didn't actually need the stand, and I felt that I needed more storage space and it was just taking up room. So I did make the decision. Thanks to lots of you that actually bought my Destash, it gave me the funds to buy some more bits from IKEA. And following a trip to IKEA, I bought some more Kallax units, which are now here. I'll twizzle you around in a minute so I can show you exactly what's what. But I went along to IKEA with my husband and we bought some more bits and pieces from IKEA for storage here. So the treadle is now in my conservatory and I am going to probably sell that. I think I've still got the machine, don't worry, I will not be getting rid of that machine, it's up there. But it's great because I've got more storage space now, and it means that all the other bits and pieces that I still didn't really have room for are now stored away in here. And yeah, it's working really well for me, so that's good. I also managed to get through my Kallax units that are over there that are full of fabric. I have worked through the entire unit now, apart from what's on top, because there's still lots of fabric stored on top. So the unit is completely done and sorted. Not everything is on Stash Hub yet, but lots of it is, which is brilliant because I'm finding that's working really well for me. As I work through things, I am picking out things to destash and picking out things to put on Stash Hub, which is great because it means I'm doing it as I go along, so that's good. But the top of the unit is still full of fabric that all needs to be brought down and sorted, but I didn't want to do that this week because I wanted to take the opportunity to do a bit of sewing. So yeah, but let me just turn you around and I'll show you what I've got here so you can see how it looks. So this is my little sewing space now. No, my little vlogging space. This is my little vlogging space. You can see my little chair that I've just dragged over from my sewing machine. But if I just pull my chair out of the way, you can see I've still got some storage boxes on top up here, which are fine. They've got all my trims in. And then what we got was, we got 2 of the 4 cube Kallax units from IKEA. And then I bought 4 of the sort of fabric boxes, fabric cubes to put in where I could store things away out of sight. And then for the top one, I got a set of drawers for each side and then the 2 open cupboards. So in here now I have my labels and my washi tapes. This one we have sellotape. Do not even ask why I have so much sellotape, but when I was sorting out the drawer in my desk where my overlocker is and I hauled everything out, I found enough sellotape to probably last me the rest of my life. But anyway, that's in there. This drawer we have, what have we got in here? Oops. In this drawer we have some space at the back. In here we've got patches, in here we've got patches, fabric patches, and this one I've got eyelets and my little hand press eyelet machine from Prim, I think it is. And then in here I've got the resin art stuff that was originally stored up there, is now in here with a little bit more parcel tape. And then in this cupboard, I have, in here, I've got ribbing. So all my ribbings that were stored under my cutting table are now in there. And I've got some spare cardboard A4 elasticated folders that I use for my printed off PDF patterns, which are obviously stored here. This cupboard is full of the remainder of my PDF envelopes that I've got currently, and then I've got bias tapes in here, which were originally stored on top. This cupboard, in this cube, I've got my bias tape maker with cuffing in here, and then here I've got some leftover lining fabric. So these are cottons, basically cotton lawns that I've got. I have put the rest of my lining fabrics in my cupboard over there that I sorted out, but I couldn't fit everything in, so that's where the rest of those are stored. This one is this is my seam tape, and I've got interfacings, etc., all stored in here now, so they go away nicely. And I loved these cat cubes. I had to get them. So in here we have more PDF patterns, which I didn't have space for and were just out on the floor originally. And then in here we have lots of fat quarters, mainly tulip ink. And I've got a crochet flamingo kit there that my son bought me a couple of years ago that I still have to make. So that's how everything is now stored in my little corner. And I'm really liking it because it means I've got space to vlog, which gives you a nice background rather than just looking at fabric behind me, although I'm sure you all love looking at fabric. And then I've just got a few bits and pieces on top. It probably needs a bit of a better tidy than that. As I say, my 201k is now here at the back, so I will be keeping that. But I'm finding that this is working really well for me now. Yeah, I love it. I love this little space. It means I've got, as I say, a space to vlog from now, to film from, and I've got lots of space to take pictures in here when the weather's rubbish outside as well. And yeah, as a workable space, it's great. I will say, because I've now only got one cutting table as opposed to the 2 tables that I had before, it's a little bit more tricky working with the space that I've got for cutting out on. But, you know, I'm getting used to it, and I'm sure in time I'll figure it out. And it will, you know, it will evolve like our sewing rooms do. So yeah, it's great. So what have I been up to sewing this week? I have made the Friday Pattern Company Pogonip sweater. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will have already seen some pictures of it. And I will put a couple of pictures here if you don't follow me on Instagram or you don't use Instagram to show you my finished Pogonip. Now, this was part of a challenge run by Christine from Gemini Stitches. She's done a challenge called the Pogonip Party Challenge throughout February, which was hosted on Instagram, and there are some fabulous prizes if you made a Pogonip and uploaded a picture of it onto Instagram on the reveal day, which was yesterday, which was the leap day, 29th of February. And originally, when this pattern came out, I love Friday Pattern Company patterns. I'm a big fan of their patterns. But when this pattern came out, I know that Rowan and Hamlin were like, whoa, this pattern, I've got to make it. And I was like, nah, it's not for me. And I think what put me off was the placket at the front. I didn't like the placket. It felt out of proportion. That was just my personal opinion. And I just felt that there were better designs of this style of sweater out there. A couple of you mentioned a couple to me. I think Wardrobe by Me, sorry, I've got a really itchy nose. Wardrobe by Me have one, a half zip sweater, which I think is a great style. And also Ali Olsen has the Hive sweater, and it was the lovely Amanda from I Sew A Lot that mentioned that one to me as well. And I love that one. I think it's a fabulous design. I prefer it to the Pogonip, I'll be honest. But Christine reached out to me and asked me if I would take part in the challenge. And initially I thought, nah, I don't want to make it. But then I thought, well, you know what? That's the point of a challenge, isn't it? That sometimes you challenge yourself to make something that you probably wouldn't ordinarily do. So I looked at the pattern. I thought, go on, I'll just make it, because I really I need this kind of sweater. It is a need in my wardrobe, because it's a sweater that you can make out of lots of different types of fabrics, which is great for versatility. But also I needed this kind of throw on pullover that I could just throw on when the weather is not really bad, but, you know, a bit cool and you want to just keep warm, especially when I'm walking Piper. So I thought, yeah, I'll get the pattern and I'll make it. So I picked a remnant of this gorgeous jumbo cord Sherpa lined fabric from First for Fabrics. It was a 1.7 meter remnant, and when they brought these fabrics out, I loved them. I thought they were gorgeous. They did them in a few different colorways, and they had some, I'm not sure if it was the same, but they had some very similar in Higgs and Higgs at the Knitting and Stitching show when I went in November with Tamlin, and we had a little feel of them and I really loved them. But I thought, at the time, it was like, I love this fabric, but I have no idea how I would use it, how I would make it, or should I say what I would make it into. So I didn't get any. And then when I decided I was going to do the Pogonip, I quickly went onto the First for Fabrics website to see if they still had this, and they had a remnant of the colourway that I liked, which is the purple colourway, because it's my favourite colour. So I bought the remnant and thought, yeah, I'll use that. Now, here is my Pogonip. So it is partially lined is the pattern, but because this is a Sherpa lined fabric, obviously the whole point of this is to feel that gorgeous fluffiness against your body, to give you the cozy, warm benefit of the fabric. So I have not lined this at all. I sewed it up on my sewing machine, on my Faf sewing machine, and then did all the raw edges on my overlocker, and it handled it absolutely fine. This is a fairly hefty fabric, you know, it is designed to be fairly heavyweight. It's beautiful, beautiful fabric, and it does have a nap to it because it's a cord, so there was that to bear in mind as well. But yeah, I made the Pogonip. I only put 2 press studs on. These press studs, I actually wanted to find some purple ones, but I couldn't find any that were the right colour, so I decided to go against that idea and just go for black. So I got these black matte metal press studs from the trimming shop and inserted them using my green hand press machine, which worked. It was fine. It goes through anything, does that machine. It's really hefty. And then it has welt pockets. So here are my welt pockets. I'll stand up so you can see them a little bit better. Now, me and welts have a love-hate relationship. I love them, but they hate me. And I have tried welts on a few different projects in the past, and they've never gone very well, I'll be honest. I've tried various tutorials and always struggled with them. So the thought of doing welt pockets in this fabric was terrifying. I came out in a cold sweat, but I followed the instructions on the pattern, and actually they were easier in this fabric than I thought they would be. Generally what happens with welts is you end up with loads of puckering at these corners here if you don't cut into it exactly right and turn it exactly right. But what Chelsea has you do with this is she has you understitch the lining of the pocket, and when I've done welts before, it's never told you to do that, but it really does. I mean, obviously it's going to help because understitching does help everything sit nicely inside, doesn't it? And I know I've used the wrong colour thread here, but it's only the pocket lining, and actually it helps for you to see how the understitching works. So that really helped everything just turn inside really easily and sit really nicely. So that's that welt, and then this welt is there, and they've gone in really well with no puckering. The lining I used is just a purple cotton that I had in my stash upstairs. No idea where it came from. I've had it years. It was just lying around, and I thought that's going to work perfectly. It has an elasticated bottom here, a channel to put elastic in at the bottom. That was really tough to get that through because obviously you're trying to insert elastic into a casing that has Sherpa fleece, and it's really hard work getting that through. And then the same with the cuffs as well. So that was a bit of a challenge. Now the pattern also has a pocket on the back because it's designed for if you want to roll it up into a little pocket and sort of slip it in your bag or backpack or whatever, and then just unravel when you want to use it. But obviously in this fabric, I'm never going to do that. So I did not put a pocket on the back. I left that off. But otherwise, it's gorgeous. I used this lovely label that I'd got in my stash from Kylie in the Machine because I wanted a hanging label to be able to just hang this up very easily. Pockets wise, as I say, if I just turn this inside out, and I'll show you the inside of it, you will see that I had to make a little bit of an adjustment with the pocket, and I'll explain why. So turned inside out, the front, this is what it looks like. So you've got these pockets, and what I found was, well, what I had to do, because I'm tall, I'm 5'10", I had to lengthen the sleeves by 1 inch, and they're still too short by a good 1.5 inches. So if I made it again, I wouldn't make it in this kind of fabric again, but a nice lighter weight fabric would be nice. I know a couple of lovely vloggers who took part in this challenge, both Amelia's actually, Amelia Ellen Sews and Sew Amelia, have both made one out of some beautiful Liberty ripstop fabric that they got from the new craft house, and I am so tempted to buy it in another colourway because they have another colourway that I really like. So, and it makes it like a rain mac type top, and I know Sew Amelia, she has lengthened hers and made like a curved hem. and she has put a hood on it as well, which is just amazing. She's really hacked the pattern, great. But what I found, as I say, in this is that the sleeves were too short, so I would need to lengthen it. And obviously, because it is fairly cropped, I still wanted to keep the cropped look, but I knew because of how tall I am that I would need to lengthen the bodice as well. So what I actually did was I lengthened the bottom front bodice bit to keep everything in proportion, if that made sense. So because of where the pockets go at the front, I split the inch at the top and the bottom of the front bottom pattern piece, if that makes sense. So I added 1/2 inch at the top of it and 1/2 inch at the bottom, so that it would keep the pockets central on the front bottom part of the front bodice. Does that make sense? But what I found when I'd made this and inserted the welts and done the pockets, and I wore it on my first dog walk with Piper, I found that when I would put my hands in my pockets, the bottom of the pockets were dipping out underneath the hem. Now, I don't know if I've made an error with where I've positioned the pockets. I don't think I have. And bearing in mind, I added 1/2 inch on to it as well. And I didn't move the pocket placement with that. I left the pocket placement exactly where it is on the pattern. So even though my front bottom bodice piece was 1/2 inch wider at both the top and the bottom, the pocket was still centralized in the middle. So that shouldn't really happen. You know, when you put your hands in the pockets, you expect the pocket bags inside to still be encased within the garment, and they weren't. It was poking out the bottom. So what I've ended up having to do is, because that was really annoying me and getting on my nerves, is I have had to stitch the pocket along the seam of the bottom hem, if that makes sense, to stop that happening. So I haven't heard anybody else mention this as an issue with this pattern. To be honest, I don't know whether it's a design fault or whether it's just that people, you know, lots of people have left off the welt pockets, because I know that they do send the chills through lots of people, let's face it. But yeah, what I was finding, as I say, if I turn this the right way around, is that when I put my hands in these pockets, the bottom of the pocket bag, because it's loose inside, it's not fixed to anything, was dangling below the hem. And I didn't like that. So I have fixed it to the seam of the bottom, and now it's absolutely fine. So overall, I'm really happy with it. I really like it. I'm glad that I have made it, because, as I say, I wasn't enamoured by the pattern when I first saw it. But, you know, when I've made it, and I really like it. And literally, as soon as I made it, I thought, I want to make another. So I am very tempted to get some of the Liberty Ripstop from New Craft House. They still have it in stock, and they've got it in a few different colourways. And I love the blue colourway. I'll put a picture of it here. I'm really tempted to get some and make myself like a, you know, like a, not, it won't be waterproof, will it? Because it's not got tape seams or anything like that. But, you know, like just a water resistant type throw on for if it's showery but it's quite warm. I think that will be really useful for me in summer. So I'm tempted to get that and make another. So I was really, really happy to take part in this challenge. I'll be honest, I quite often say I'm going to take part in sewing challenges, and then I just lose track of time, or I get sidetracked and I end up not doing it. And it was great to actually take part in this one. So thanks, Christine, for reaching out to me for that and spurring me on to make this pattern, because I think if I hadn't have done it for this, I would never have made it. So that's been my make for the last week. I'm going to do a separate makes vlog, because I have made 2 or 3 different things over the last few weeks. I haven't been sewing prolifically because time's not been on my side, but also, and I'm going to bring this up because I know a few of my other favourite vloggers have been talking about it in their vlogs recently as well. But my weight has been an issue since I had my surgery back in September. And obviously, because I was inactive for a lot of the time, I couldn't exercise like I normally do. And, you know, even just getting about, because I'd had abdominal surgery, was really tough. And I did gain a lot of weight. And yeah, that was really bothering me. And what I was finding was a lot of the clothes that I'd made recently, you know, my Amelia jacket that I made last year, some of my Lyra dresses, I couldn't get any of them on. They were too tight on the upper arms. It was just ridiculous. So it was really getting me down, and it really put me off wanting to sew, to be honest, because I know lots of you will probably say, you know, and we hear it all the time, don't we? Make things for the body that you have, not the body that you want. But that wasn't my normal state, if that makes sense, even for me. And I know my weight has always fluctuated. I've always been a bit of a yo-yoer, and I can lose weight very easily when I put my mind to it. I can gain weight very easily when I put my mind to it. And over the years, I've come to accept that that is me. That is what will happen. And I know I'm at the age now where lots of you will probably be thinking, oh, you'll be menopausal and we all gain weight around the menopause. And I know lots of women do gain weight around the menopause, but I'm also very much of the opinion that it's not inevitable. And I think I mentioned a while ago that I'd been to see my doctor about my hip because I've been having some problems with my hip. And this was right at the beginning of January, and it was just before Christmas, actually. Just before Christmas, I'd been to see my GP about my hip, and he sent me for a scan, and I had the scan, and it showed a few issues with the hip, which is more or less what I'd already diagnosed myself to be and what my GP sort of agreed with as well. But I actually aren't having any menopausal symptoms at all at the minute. I've been very lucky so far. I'm not even perimenopausal, I wouldn't say. I don't have any symptoms. I feel very much me. So I'm very lucky in that respect. And because I know lots of women are suffering with it and do suffer with it. But I had my follow-up appointment with my GP, who discussed the scan. And yeah, basically it's not a point where I'd need any surgery or anything like that. And I certainly wouldn't want any surgery on it unless there was no alternative. But obviously it was bothering me a bit. I'd started running again. And one of the things I'd said to my GP was, what can I do to slow down the progression of the deterioration of my hip? And he was honest with me. You know, he said, lose some weight. He said, get yourself as light as you possibly can. And which I already knew I needed to, well, I'd already started losing some weight anyway, because I knew I needed to get my weight down. But yeah, that's what he said to me, and he was absolutely right. And so that's what I'm doing. And it's working really well so far. I've lost a fair bit of weight. I'm probably about halfway where I need to be. And it's having an impact. I'm running regularly again now, which is great. I'm eating healthily. I can get back in my clothes. I've lost inches. I mean, when I say I've gone down a dress size, I don't know, because I don't generally buy ready to wear clothes anymore. I tend to make it all my own. So when it comes to dress sizes, I don't know what dress size I am, because I go by my body measurements, but my body measurements have reduced significantly. And it's working. So I'm feeling so much more positive and so much better in myself, feeling more like me, which is brilliant. Running regularly again, but I'm still nowhere back to peak fitness what I was, because, well, still I've got some weight to lose, but also you know, there's still an impact from the surgery. I can still feel that. And normally if I've had a break from running, I would be back to peak fitness by now with the amount of running I'm doing, and I'm not. I'm very slow still. So, but that's fine, because I know, you know, after the type of surgery that I had, it would be a good 6 to 12 months before I would feel fully fit again, I think. So, yeah, but I know lots of people don't like talking about weight, and lots of women don't want to talk about weight. And, you know, I'm not going to mention numbers or anything like that, but I think it is important when you feel that you're not, you know, you don't feel you. And I think, you know, when we sew, and body image comes into a lot of that, doesn't it, when we sew for ourselves, that it's important to me. It's important to me how I look and how I feel in how I look, if that makes sense. So that sort of put me off sewing, I guess. And I know it has with some of the other lovely ladies, lovely vloggers that I follow. They've talked about in their vlogs as well, and it really hits home because I know exactly how they're feeling. But I'm sort of getting myself into wanting to sew a bit more now. I've got this thing in my head that by the summer I'm going to be killing it. That's where I'm feeling. So yeah, things are going well at the moment, and I am hoping by summer I'm going to be back to where I feel I want to be, which is brilliant. So I'm getting my head more into wanting to sew things that I would feel more comfortable wearing now I have lost a fair bit of weight. And I have got a meet up with some friends next weekend, not this weekend coming, but the weekend after. We are going out for drinks. I'm going to York again, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I want a new outfit to make me feel good. Yeah, so what I'd got in my head this week was I wanted to make a jumpsuit. Now, I know everybody thinks, Sadie jumpsuit, it's a lovely pattern. I've made it a couple of times. I want to move on from it. There are so many gorgeous patterns out there that I want to try. And I'd got in my head an image of the type of jumpsuit that I wanted to make. And I'm going to do a separate vlog on this for you about my thought process behind it, how I decide what I want to make, how I work through patterns and end up choosing something and then choosing the fabric to go with it and all that kind of thing. But that's going to be a separate vlog. But I've got this image in my head of what like a visual image in my head of what I wanted to wear. And I wanted a jumpsuit that was drapey but had a bit of a utilitarian feel to it, if that makes sense, but made out of drapey fabric. So I went on the fold line and had a look through, and the one that was closest to the sort of image that I had in my head was actually one that I have never heard of before and one that I've not seen anybody make up. So, and even when I had a look on Instagram, there were hardly any images of this jumpsuit. So it's called the Anza and it's by Itch to Stitch. So it's the same designer as the top that I'm wearing. So I bought the pattern and I am in the process of working on that right now. So I got it cut out a couple of nights ago. The fabric that I chose, I'll just show you the remnants of it, is this. So it is plain, I know, because as much as I love patterned jumpsuits, I think my personal opinion is that you have to be very careful about the pattern you choose, because they can look a bit pajama-ish if you choose the wrong pattern. And I don't want to look like I'm going out in my pajamas. I want to look classy and, you know, like that it is supposed to be a jumpsuit, if that makes sense. So I'm really, really funny about, it's weird because when I wear a dress, when I make a dress, it's very different. I don't know why, but a dress in a really sort of vibrant or full-on pattern, I think looks incredible. But for a jumpsuit, I'd sometimes think it can easily tip into that pajama territory, which is not a look that I'm going for. So I decided I wanted just a plain one, which for this pattern I'm a little bit worried about because this fabric is a Tencel Twill that I got from Rainbow Fabrics, and it's got cat fluff on it because Pluto is just there and he's been fluffing all my fabric for me, bless him. But yeah, I am using this fabric, which is very drapey. It's a medium weight, I would say light to medium weight fabric, and it's lovely. It's got a gorgeous softness to it. It's very, very lovely, but obviously it's plain. So this pattern has some utilitarian features to it, like the breast pockets, and I thought, oh, this is going to be really tough to get this to look impeccably perfect. I don't think I'll achieve that, but anyway. So anyway, I've gone for it and I'm making this up currently. But yeah, this is the fabric here. Excuse the creases. Sun's gone in now, so we're losing light again and it's only early morning. So that's what I'm making at the moment. I've got the bodice done. I'm just working on the pockets as we speak. And I'm really excited to make it. So it's basically a grown on sleeve. It is a short sleeve, but we are coming into spring, fingers crossed. And it's got an elastic waist with a casing for drawstring as well. And it's a self drawstring that you make out of the same fabric. And then it's got cuffs on the ankles as well. I think they're elasticated. I'm not quite sure, but I will leave a link to the pattern down below. But I'm thinking of shirring them instead of having elasticated ankle cuffs. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing that, but anyway, we'll see. We'll see how we get on. I'll try it first and make a decision further down the line, but I'm on with that at the minute. I've got that cut out. Now, my body measurements with this pattern, I've had to grade so much, but what I love about it is she does do different cup sizes as well. So I'm really impressed with the level of detail that she goes to with that. And I've printed this out on PDF. Now it is about 90 pages long because there's a dress version as well with this pattern. But what she does do is she tells you what you need to print out. It does come in AO as well if you want to get it printed off that way. But she does tell you what page numbers to print out if you're just doing the jumpsuit and if you're just doing the B cup or the C cup or whatever. So it was actually really good to be able to just print out what I needed instead of the whole lot. So I measured up my measurements. This is just ridiculous when I tell you this, but I measured up as a B cup, size 10 bodice, size 6 waist, and a size 16 hip. There are 16 inches between my waist and my hip currently, which is just bonkers. So grading between all that was a little bit of a challenge, and I don't know if I've got it right. We shall see when I make this up. It wasn't, you know, mega expensive fabric. So at the end of the day, if there are some tweaks that I need to make to the pattern when I've made this, at least I can do that from this version and then obviously choose some nice fabric or more expensive fabric in my stash and make it up again. So it's going to be like a wearable toile, I think, but I'm hoping it's going to be very wearable because I don't generally make toiles. I have made a 1-inch adjustment to the length of the bodice on this pattern, but I haven't done anything else. I measured my rise, and the measurements on the rise on the pattern actually match mine, so I didn't need to do any crotch adjustments or anything. So fingers crossed, I'm hoping that this will work. I did add about 1.5 inches to the leg length as well, because obviously I'm quite tall and I think this is drafted for about 5'6", so that should hopefully work out quite well. We shall see. We'll see how we get on with it. Jumpsuits can always be a bit of a challenge, can't they? Because, you know, you've got the top and the trousers that are attached to each other. It's a button front. I do need to go get some buttons today, so I'm going to take my scraps with me, head off to Boys in my local town to try and match some buttons because I will need those. While I'm there, I need to pick up my glasses as well because I have to wear reading glasses now for sewing and reading, and I stood on them a couple of weeks ago and broke them, so they've been ready for a week, so I need to pick those up. I'm sure you were interested in that, but anyway. So I think that's it, guys. I've rabbited on for probably quite a long time now because I had lots to talk to you about, but I am planning to get another couple of vlogs filmed today. I am doing a fabulous little collaboration with Cara from So Mad. And Cara, if you're watching, I just want to send you lots and lots of love because I know Cara's lost a beloved pet in the last couple of days, and I know how much our pets mean to us. Those of you that have pets will know. Those of you that have never had pets won't know and probably won't understand it, but yeah, they do become a huge part of your family, and I know how devastating it is. So Cara, lots of love to you. But yes, Cara and I are doing a lovely little collaboration together, and I still need to film my bit, so I am planning to do that today, and then hopefully we can get that out soon. And I want to film my plans for March because I have lots of lovely plans for sewing in March. Now I'm feeling more like sewing for the body I have, and yeah, do a little vlog about my makes as well because I have got a few things to show you as well. So I'm hopefully going to get that done today. But for now, I will love you and leave you. I hope you've enjoyed today's vlog. I would love you to leave me a comment down below. And also one other thing, actually, I did mean to mention, which I forgot totally about till I'm just about to sign off, is the Top Tip Tuesdays. I know that so many of you absolutely loved them, and obviously they took a bit of a backseat over the last few months while I've been getting myself back on my feet again, but I want to bring them back to you because I know how much you love them. So what I'm really interested in is if you want to leave me a comment in the comments box below what you would like to see me cover in Top Tip Tuesdays. So these are things like, you know, how to insert a zip, how to do buttonholes or whatever, how to do French seams, anything you feel that you struggle with. Well, pockets, I know somebody mentioned that before, and I can probably show you how to do it now that I've figured it out and I've done it a few times. I might have a go at welt pockets, but yes, any little tips that you want me to cover in my Top Tip Tuesdays, please leave me a comment down below. I'll make a list of them and I can start bringing those back to you as well because I'd love to do that. I really enjoyed it and I know they were really well received. And yes, I think we're there. So I'm going to leave it there, guys, because I've rabbited to you for long enough. I'm going to finish my coffee and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will be back with you really soon. Fingers crossed. Take care. Bye.